Welcome to the LowCarbUSA podcast, where we seek to inspire you to help us build this community. I'm Doug Reynolds.
And this is Pam Devine.
Okay, so I have Lisa and Richard Margolis with us here. They're two of our staunchest supporters at a bunch of our events. Lisa is actually a nurse and Richard is a psychiatrist. And they were really keen to talk to us today about how to do this, or how powerful it is to do this as a couple. So guys, I think start with your story, how you got into this, and then maybe go into this whole thing about doing it as a couple.
Just as a brief preface, I want to talk about what's in the news and is so concerning for everyone nowadays with the coronavirus. And it just goes to show how activated people can become when there's a health crisis, which for me, I think could be a very positive sign because, coronavirus is a communicable disease and, we're doing everything we can to prevent it right now. And we really want to think about all the non-communicable diseases, the chronic diseases, which don't necessarily kill people quickly, but they cause disability and eventually death over a long period of time. And we want to give a message of hope about how people can be activated to do things to not only prevent this communicable disease, but really to reverse diabetes and to turn around these chronic diseases so people don't have disability and eventual death. So Lisa's going to start with her story of where she was a few years ago.
Yes. Hi, my name is Lisa, and I'm a nurse. And my story begins with repeated fruitless attempts to lose weight. I tried everything. Packaged food sent to the house, meetings where you counted points. And instead of losing weight, I was just gaining more and more weight and experiencing relentless hunger. So I would have one lunch and then 30 minutes later, I would have a second lunch. So obviously I did not lose weight. I'm a nurse and I didn't realize really that I was gaining weight and becoming obese according to my BMI. I didn't realize the kind of trouble I was in and where I was headed. All I knew was that I was always hungry. Then in August of 2015, 4.5 years ago, I developed shooting pains in both legs, both feet. And this was neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, and I was officially diagnosed via blood tests as pre-diabetic. And for me, this was very scary and a real wake-up call. I knew I was in big, big trouble. I picked up a laptop and did research, and I remembered from nursing school what I had learned about diabetes, and I went to the American Diabetes Association website, which never mentioned reversal. And then I went to another website. This was back when there weren't that many websites, and this was Blood Sugar 101. And they said that if I followed conventional advice, the ADA advice, that I was in real danger of amputation and blindness. But they also said that it was reversible and to get Dr. Bernstein's Diabetes Solution book, which I then bought and followed his no-no list of foods on page 160 and 161, along with the advice to slash carbs to about 30 grams of carbs a day. So basically, I eliminated all carbs except those from green vegetables, and all grains and sugars went no more. The first endocrinologist I went to told me not to worry because I was only pre-diabetic. I was flabbergasted. I seemed to take it more seriously than the endocrinologist. I knew that weight loss was essential. I knew that from my nursing education, and I knew that I had to lose weight. The American Diabetes Association suggests a weight loss of only 5 to 7%, but more trustworthy sites recommend 15% body weight loss. I did not know how I was going to lose it, but I figured I would just be a super strict calorie counter. Boy, was I in for the surprise of my life. I did not know how a very low-carb diet effectively killed your appetite. So weight loss actually became easy for the first time in my life. Since I was losing a fantastic amount of weight, and delighted in how I looked in the mirror, this just buoyed me and encouraged me on. Doctors I saw and doctors who were friends were asking me, how did you lose the weight? And I told them, through very low-carb diet. After many years of unsuccessful diets, the low-carb physicians knew and shared exactly how to reverse diabetes with a super low-carb diet and how to lose weight. And that was 75 pounds ago. So Richard is a physician, and we developed a plan to make our home a carb-free zone.
Yeah, I saw this as a wonderful opportunity for me, as Lisa's husband, to do this with her. I was all in, and I knew it would be so much more powerful if we did this together. If I brought anything into the house that would jeopardize Lisa's recovery from this, it could throw her back. So we agreed that we were going to be a team. And I came up with this concept that, well, I said, forget that word diet. Diet is a 4-letter word for me. Diet is a nasty word. Diet is, I was bad, I ate the wrong things, I gained too much weight. Now I have to go on the diet, which is punishment, until I lose enough weight so I could go back to eating the things I ate before. I said, forget that diet. This is a lifestyle change. And it's not a lifestyle change for today and tomorrow. This is for the rest of our life. And guess what? We're going to look at this just as a menu. When you go into a restaurant, you order from a menu. You can't get everything in the world you want, only the items on the menu. I said, look, we have a brand new menu we're going to be ordering from. We're going to be eating the most delicious foods. We're going to thoroughly enjoy our menu. But guess what? Certain things are not on the menu anymore. Forget about the sugar. Forget about the processed carbs. By the way, they're not real food anyway. They're garbage, but they're no longer on our menu. And I can't emphasize enough how much we enjoy eating now. It no longer feels like we're eating because we're addicted to it, and we need to keep eating and eating and eating to kind of feed the addiction. And we did this in a very mindful way. Everything we did, we discussed and we planned and we figured out how to do it. For instance, just going to the supermarket is a trigger for so many people. There are so many things on the shelves. Every checkout counter has so many triggers that they're trying to get you, manipulate you into buying their stuff. So we would come up with a list. We would discuss what we were going to buy, what we needed, and that was our goal. We went to supermarket to buy exactly what we needed. If we went together, it would be, something we did together as a couple. We would enjoy it. Over time, believe it or not, now we go to the supermarket and we'll start looking at things on the shelves that we know are bad for people. And we even have little magnifying glasses that we have attached to our key rings. And we'll look at the little nutrition facts. Sometimes they're folded over so they're hard to read. And we love to figure out how many teaspoons of sugar there are in a serving of a different product. And we say, could you believe there are like 5 teaspoons of sugar in this one serving of whatever? And on the package, it'll say heart healthy. Or it'll say, this is health food, which is good for you. And people who don't know this end up buying it thinking that it's good for them. But the key that we found is if you do it together, you're doing it as a team. And the benefit was just not for Lisa. There was tremendous benefit for me because suddenly I had a wife who was both healthier and a whole lot happier too. She was thrilled to be losing weight after all the time that all those diets that she was on, all the efforts that she had made to lose weight that never worked. Now she was successful. She was happy, and I had the advantage too of having a wife who could start doing things, because in the past, you were really too tired to do a lot of things because you were carrying all that weight and you were metabolically unhealthy.
Yes, things became a lot easier.
So
Right,
life
so,
is so much more fun.
And I'm so, but it wasn't just the weight, right? I'm assuming that your neuropathy cleared up and you're no longer
yeah.
pre-diabetic and those things as well, right?
Yeah, you lose the weight, you lose the diabetes. And the neuropathy, actually, it was remarkable. I threw away the bagels, the bread, and I never had another pain in my foot again. I did not need a study from Harvard. This was an N of 1. No bagels, no pain in my feet. And I've read this over and over that you can, a diabetic can bring on pain in their feet just having bagels.
Just looking at them, I think. Yeah.
Well, at first, so Lisa did this, and my own story is that about almost 20 years ago, I was working all kinds of hours, and gradually the weight just found its way on me, and I weighed about 40 pounds more back then than I weigh now. So I decided I needed to cut out, sugar. I needed to cut out white flour. I needed to start exercising. But I was hungry because I really, without knowing it, I was still eating a lot of carbs without knowing it. So I was hungry a lot, but by, sheer determination and kind of my own determination to do this, I lost about 20 pounds, 25 pounds back then. When we did low carb together, I had no intention of losing any more weight, but I lost an additional 15, 20 pounds on top of it. And I'm feeling better than I ever did before. I thought I was fit and healthy, but I didn't know. Plus, I'm loving the food I'm eating now too. But at first I did feel deprived, I'll tell you that, because I would still eat things on occasion that I knew I really shouldn't, but I couldn't just eat one. Like the old Lay's potato chips commercial, I bet you can't eat just one. I couldn't. I would have one and then I'd have all of them. So another amazing thing that happened to us, we were on vacation and we were in the car and we listened to one of Dr. Sivas's talks. And do you want to say?
With Doug, yeah.
Yeah, with Doug. It was an interview with Doug. Yeah. You want to repeat what?
Where Dr. Sivas said that that carbs are not really a food; they're a drug, a highly, highly neuroactive drug. And I accepted that. I just couldn't have bagels. I could accept that and other things like that. No, no carbs. But I didn't realize it was a drug. We were just blown away. And here, Richard's a psychiatrist. He got on the phone and called Dr. Sivas. He couldn't believe that.
Well, I had been thinking the same exact thing and when he said it, I was like, oh my God, this guy is saying it. This is what I've been thinking. This is what I've been seeing. So I've had this opportunity to speak with Dr. Sivas and develop a friendship and learn from him because he knows so much. He's been doing this for 20 years.
I don't know many. He's one of the people that I know that probably knows more about everything than anybody else. It's just incredible the amount of stuff that, he's saying, he has psychiatrists and psychologists coming to him and saying, how come you're teaching us about psychology? And he's a bariatric surgeon,
Well, that's why I reached out to him. I said, how is it that a bariatric surgeon knows more about psychiatry than psychiatrists?
So it was you that was saying that, yeah.
We struck up this dialogue, and it's been mutually interesting and beneficial for us.
And also the way Dr. Seifert said, carbs should never have been added to the food supply.
Boy, isn't that
they
the
are
truth.
a drug that should never have been added. And here, I think 60% of what people eat are carbs.
Yeah, more than
crazy.
50% are combinations of sugar, starches, and the seed oils, and the factory-made seed oils, which are so bad for our health. But one of the things I want to add too was we've had this incredible experience of being part of a growing community, and we went to Low Carb San Diego in 2017. It was a goal of ours. It was after you had really lost a good deal of weight, and we had a terrific time there. We met a lot of people who we had read, we had seen on interviews, and it was just a thrill for us to meet them and to meet all the other people there too. Remember Dr. Lenskis, he was getting started back then. He asked a lot of good questions.
Yeah.
We sat next to Eveline Bertois from Montreal, and she's lovely and doing tremendous work. And for me as a physician, this is so exciting because medicine tends to be kind of mechanical. You gather the symptomology, you come up with a diagnosis, you follow guidelines, and you prescribe medicines, or you end up doing a procedure. But what's so exciting about what we're doing is that people are amazingly curious. We're looking into root causes of illness. We're not just looking to write a prescription and send the patient on their way. We want to truly figure out what's gone wrong. And with the goal of preventing the illness to begin with, or if they have it, reversing it and helping them to become healthy again, which is exciting.
Remarkable.
Also, intellectually, it's wonderfully stimulating. We've learned so much, but we're learning new things every day and applying them. So we wanted to do more with our knowledge, so we began to share it with friends of ours. And we would go out to dinner, and during dinner, we'd explain to them what we were doing. And at first, people would look at Lisa, and you know what they were thinking? She had bariatric surgery, because how else could you lose weight unless you have bariatric surgery?
No, weight like that sort of amount of weight, yeah.
And we had to explain exactly how we did it, and they saw how we ate, and we've been able to help a lot of friends that way. And then we started expanding it to our community, having potluck dinners, inviting a lot of people, sending out links for email websites where you could have low-carb recipes. So, and when we've had these low-carb potluck dinners, the most amazing people cook up the most amazing, delicious food, and then they realize, wow, I could eat really, really well, and low-carb and healthy in the process.
Yeah, they're always surprised.
They are surprised.
Yeah.
They're shocked.
It's amazing.
Tell us, we were talking a little bit earlier about, it's really easier for people to do as a couple, like Doug and I found that. But, when you're working with patients or you're talking with others, and it isn't always both of the couple who are doing this together. Maybe one is sabotaging the other without realizing it, or maybe even intentionally. You're a psychiatrist, you could probably even talk about why someone would do that. But if you want to tell people your experience and what you recommend to people to kind of help them through that situation.
Sure. Again, I want to give Rob Sivas credit for his addiction model, because I really understand this in terms of an addiction for many people. So if one spouse or partner is low carb and trying to get healthy and trying to deal with their own personal addiction, yet their spouse is still addicted, I think they really need to communicate. And the one who's working to get healthy and trying to stay low carb has to explain, look, think of me as an alcoholic, but alcohol isn't my drug. Sugar and carbs are my drug. So if I was an alcoholic, would you bring home liquor and wine and beer and drink them right in front of me? What would that do to me? What would that do to me if I'm trying to remain sober and you're using these? Or if I was, addicted to heroin or crystal meth or whatever, and you were shooting up right in front of me, what would that do to me? You'd be dragging me down. Well, that's exactly what's going on here. This is my drug. And the only way I can recover from this drug is for our home to be drug-free, to be a safe place for me. Otherwise, all my efforts will, I won't be able to do it and live with you in the same house. And I'm so committed to doing what I'm doing for my health, and my health has an incredible impact on our future together. Because if I become chronically ill, guess what? You're going to be taking care of me. You're going to be pushing me around the wheelchair. You're going to be taking me for treatments. And you don't want that. And I don't want you to be ill either. And it has to be a real heartfelt discussion. And I think using that addiction model is the best way for the spouse, the partner, to understand that they can't bring this into the home. And they must develop a sensitivity to help their loved one on their road to recovery. Because for me, there is no difference between a carb addiction or an alcohol addiction or a heroin addiction. And Dr. Lustig, Robert Lustig, has pointed out very clearly in great detail how fructose is metabolized in the same in the liver the same way alcohol is. It's the same exact mechanism. So that's what we're talking about here. And it all hits the reward center in the brain, the nucleus accumbens, and it hits dopamine. And not only that, it hits the mu opioid receptors of the brain too. Sugar does that. There are lots of studies out there that show that sugar has an effect, an opioid effect on the brain. So it has, and the thing about it, our ancestors never had large supplies of sugar and carbohydrates in the past. If they came across some honey or some fruit, they would take in as much as they could just to build up energy in their body and help them through a cold winter. But the doses of sugar and processed carbs now that we come across are supranormal. They're way beyond our brain's ability to handle them. And just like the Indians in South America who chew on coca leaves, but they're not cocaine addicts, when you refine those leaves and you make it into cocaine, it's a supranormal dose. And people get addicted quickly. And unfortunately, that's what's happened in America, but it's been transported everywhere. It's all over the world now. Obesity has doubled, I believe, in 80 countries over the last 20 or so years. So it's, unfortunately, we've exported the standard American diet everywhere. So for getting back to your question about couples, there needs to be a heart-to-heart discussion that you've got to help me. I'm in big trouble. You know, I'm metabolically unhealthy. I'm diabetic. I'm going to suffer all these terrible diseases. And guess what? You're going to go through this with me, or we could get healthy together. So it's really,
sounds to me like you're saying, like they need to put a stake in the ground, though. They have to say, like,
absolutely.
They have to be firm about it, right?
One of your speakers at LowCarbUSA, Joan Ifland, I asked her a question: what do you do if your spouse is sabotaging you? And she had a great response. If it keeps on happening, you take whatever they brought home, you pour dish detergent all over it, and then you shove it down the garbage disposal, and then they'll get the message.
Yeah, you can't just put it in the trash can because you can just pull it out of the trash can. So you have to put something on it and destroy it, is what I think she was saying. Because that addicted person could very well just go and pull it out of the trash can.
Oh, well, that's tremendous advice, I think, and maybe a good place to end. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us about this. And hopefully we see you at the next one. But what's next for you, Boca again, or are you coming to San Diego?
Well, definitely, we've already signed up for Boca. We look forward to seeing you there.
For Boca in January 2021.
2021, okay.
And we want to thank you so much for this opportunity. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everything you're doing for our community and helping so many people out there who you don't even know about yet.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to an episode of the LowCarbUSA podcast. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/LowCarbUSA.